Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir page 52, which discusses certain times in which a person can become impure by coming in close contact with a dead body. And the Talmud in the past few pages have been discussing not only the entirety of the body, but even parts of the body. If we're dealing with a significant amount, for example, if there is the majority of the bone structure, which is called rov minyan, or large bones, which constitute the majority of the structure, even though there's not a lot of them in number, that's called rov binyan. So in those situations, a person will also become impure on the highest level, and that they will end up having to be impure for 7 days and need to be sprinkled with these special ashes of the paraduma of the red heifer. Now, Rabbi Akiva was strict, and he had certain situations in which he felt that you'll become impure, even though the sages disagreed. And a lot of the cases, Rabbi Akiva ended up retracting and agreeing with the sages. And the reason is because the sages said it's necessary that the remains have to come from one person, not from multiple people. Rabbi Akiva disagreed. However, there was one place that Rabbi Akiva did not retract, and it has to do with not coming in contact with ashes or bones, but rather the blood of a corpse. So if a person comes in contact with a measurement of blood, which is called a revius, that will also make them impure. And on this, Rabbi Akiva said, even if that blood came from multiple people, but it would combine to this measure, it would also make it impure. Now, this is a little bit beyond the scope of what we'd want to be discussing, and what could we learn from this. So it's brought down that Rabbi Shimon, upon hearing this, wondered. He said, I understand that while Rabbi Akiva is alive, that we're not retracting on this statement. But I'm wondering what will be later on. That if after he dies, will in fact, there will be a retraction on this statement. And it's brought down that Rab Shimon's teeth became black because of fasting. And on this, Tosfos explains that Rabbi Shimon, at one moment in his life, as careful as he normally was, he may have said something a little bit off color, a little bit disrespectful toward the great Rabbi Akiva. That he spoke in this negative way of saying, well, maybe eventually things will change, talking about Rabbi Akiva. And because he spoke in this way, which didn't show the highest levels of respect, Rabbi Shimon's teeth became black from fasting, which means that he didn't just fast for 1 day as a form of repenting, but he did this day in and day out to the point that literally his teeth changed color. So we see that the great Rabbi Shimon was normally so careful to show great levels of respect to the leadership, to the teachers, that this one time that he made this mistake, he felt so horrible that he spent basically the rest of his life repenting and begging for forgiveness for this one little statement that he said. How unbelievably far are we from the great sages that are found in the Talmud. Unfortunately, there probably isn't a day that goes by that we may say things that we regret. Very often we'll say things and insult and hurt people's feelings. And we may not necessarily think about it. We may even justify our actions in our negative language by saying, you know what, maybe they had it coming, or they deserved it, or whatever it may be. But we have to learn when we study the Talmud, even when it's in the midst of items which seem to be unrelatable, things about impurity and coming in contact with the blood of a dead body, but even in these pages, we're able to find something very powerful to take away from. And that is how careful we have to be with the way we speak, especially the way we speak about our teachers.